Oh, hey Booktube, Kate here, and welcome back to my channel. I'm here to talk to you about the books that I read in January. So the first book that I read in January was I Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I actually did a review about it earlier in the month. So just a quick recap. It was a book that I absolutely loved and think everyone should read. I think it's important in our current political and social climate, so you guys should go check that out and check my full review over on my Worth the Hype playlist. And then the next book I read was actually an audiobook, so I don't have a physical copy of it handy, and that was Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. This for me was definitely a 4-star read. I absolutely loved his humor. It's crazy to think that someone who is a huge pop culture icon lived through apartheid, and that it wasn't that long ago that people were still living segregated lives. And it's so important to realize how far we've come, but how much more work we have to do. And I think that Trevor Noah's Born a Crime is a great example of that. If you love The Daily Show and you love Trevor Noah, you should definitely check it out. It's definitely going to be one of my favorite nonfiction books that I've read in 2018. So the next book I read in 2018, also another audiobook, was called Bluebird by Attica, Locke. I picked this up on a recommendation from All the Books podcasts. Liberty Hardy was absolutely ranting and raving about how wonderful she thought this book. For me, it was kind of middle of the road. I think after reading The Hate You Give and Born a Crime, I was a little overwhelmed because all the books center around racism and social justice, and I feel like maybe it wasn't the best time to pick up this book for me. After I listened to Bluebird, I needed a break. I needed a big break. The audiobook that I started after Bluebird was A Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. It's my first Victoria Schwab book. It was fun. It was a fun read. I love the concept of the different monsters invading reality, sort of that urban fantasy vibe. The beginning for me didn't really jive. There was some confusion about who the main character was, August, and eventually you find out, but it just felt a little messy. But overall, I enjoyed the book. I love the characters that she created. I love their relationships, and I actually can't wait to start Dark Duet. I'm actually waiting for it to come off the library holds list at my local library because I absolutely love Libby and Hoopla. You guys, you have no idea. I feel like there's just so much that I want to read. I never have time to sit down and actually read a physical copy of the book because I'm always on the go. I'm always commuting or working on homework, or like cleaning around the house or traveling somewhere in the car, and that's where audiobooks come in. So I do count audiobooks as books I've read. I know some people don't, but absolutely love them. So I'm gonna keep reviewing audiobooks on here. But let me talk about a physical book. And that physical book is Nimona. I have never been really a big graphic novel person or a comic book person. It's never really been my thing. I do like watching like Marvel movies, but it's never been something that I naturally gravitated towards. And then a friend of mine suggested Nimona. And let me tell you, I absolutely loved it. I loved the dichotomy of the odd couple relationship and the anti-hero and the characters' names in the book. I was dying laughing. Like, there's one character, his name is his name is Sir Mansley Girthrod, and I just was like, all right. And then there's Ballister Blackheart, and then my other super favorite is I can't even say it. It's so ridiculous. Oh my god. It's Golden Loin. I don't know why that just makes me want to giggle. Sir Golden Loin. Anyway, if you need something to cleanse your palate and just sit down and actually take the time to relax and enjoy it, it's just great. And it's a good like one sitting book if you just want to like sit for like 2 hours and just like relax. Nimona, absolutely love it. I can't wait to pick up some more graphic novels. I've picked up so far Paper Girls and something called the Fables series, and then there's another one that I picked up. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put it down below in case anyone's interested. Okay. And then another one of my palette cleansers, I actually did 3 palette cleansers. Well, one I thought was going to be a palette cleanser, but turned out actually not being a palette cleanser, and that is this book, Rowley and the Octopus. Okay, so this book was published in 2016, and this was part of my unread shelf challenge because I had this on my shelf for a couple of months and I still hadn't picked it up. So I decided, you know, it's about a dog and a man, and I thought it was going to be cute and fun and not make me cry. But oh boy, did this book, it made me cry. I thought like the octopus was going to be like a toy or something that the dog really loved, but lo and behold, it wasn't. Throughout the entire book, it is the dog dying of a brain tumor, and this man's, the main character, Ted, trying to figure out how to grieve, knowing that there's nothing that he could do to save his dog and their relationship, and how love can come in all different shapes and sizes, and family isn't defined by a mom, a dad, and a child and siblings. A family can be anything you make it. It can be a man and his dog, and I absolutely love that about this book. I recommend it. It is a tearjerker if you're sensitive to stuff about animals. Maybe it's not for you, but I really enjoyed it. The next book that I read on audio was called Dear Fahrenheit 451. It is an epistolary book written by a librarian who is basically writing letters to books that she loved, she hated, that she never got around to reading even though she thought she would. So it's a variety of different titles that she's talking about, and I got some great recommendations out of it. I thought the writing was absolutely fantastic and hilarious. You guys, like the sarcasm. If you are a person who loves sarcasm, this book would be for you. But there are a lot of books that I did not recognize, and so some of the jokes and some of the references kind of fell flat. Yeah, so it's kind of a toss-up. I give it like a 2.5 to 3 stars because I enjoyed it. But it just wasn't a perfect book by any means for me. And then the next book that I read was actually something that was gifted to me. It was an art copy of Girls Burn Brighter by Shobha. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying that right, but it's given to me by Flatiron to review, and that was through Instagram. I had one major issue with this book, and it's something that comes up for me a lot, and that is when authors rush relationships. It's my biggest pet peeve. So the book is about two girls who are living in contemporary southern India, and they become friends in an unfortunate circumstance. One of the girls' mothers dies, and then in order to help support her family, her father hires someone to help with the weaving, because they weave saris for a living. And the girls become super fast friends, like so intensely, like can't go anywhere without each other. And it only happens in the first 70 pages, which to me, building a relationship, I mean, even girls, even teenage girls, like, yes, they do become fast friends, but there's always something that you feel kind of like solidifies their relationship. And I don't feel like I ever had that moment with the two main characters, and then all of a sudden something really tragic happens and they're broken apart. And then the book is about how, even though they're apart, their relationship is so strong that they are constantly in each other's thoughts and wishing and hoping one day they'll eventually get back to each other. And I think the idea behind it is absolutely beautiful, that despite their circumstances, they're still fighting, and that your first love isn't necessarily a boy or a girl that you're infatuated with. Your first love and a forever love can be a friend, and I thought that was such a beautiful sentiment. So I highly do recommend picking up this book. I think that it touches on a lot of issues that, for me, coming from a place of privilege, there are things that I don't normally think about on a day-to-day, and it was eye-opening because it is contemporary. So to think things like arranged marriages and people picking up trash to make ends meet in other countries is something that does happen. It's heartbreaking. So it comes out March 2018, so look out for this in stores, or you can pre-order it because I think it's available for pre-order already. I'm going to put links down below. The last book I read in the month of January, or I should say finished in the month of January, because I don't count books that I start and have actually finished part of the month. I don't know how you guys do it, but that's the way I feel. Was Hunger by Roxane Gay. I don't know what it is with me, but I just like wanted to be sad for the majority of the month, which is on body issues and sexual assault and what it means to be a larger person moving in society. And there are times where I just had to put the book down and like take a deep breath and think, wow. I think that there was a lot of good stuff in it. There are a couple of things that I didn't necessarily like about it, but the problem is she's upfront about what the book is about in the very first couple of pages. She basically is like, this is not a story that has a resolution, and I think that's accurate to life. I think that people are always growing and changing, and there's definitely never, I started at A and then I got to B and now I'm happy and everything's okay. When it comes to trauma, is something that you experience and never actually leaves you. And so you can manage it, but it doesn't ever just fade into the background. It's not something that you can put a band-aid on and then it heals. It's something that has to be managed every single day, and there are positive ways of managing it and negative ways of managing it, and some days are better than others. And the book Hunger is basically Roxane Gay talking about how she managed her own trauma throughout her life experiences. And part of me wished that there was a little bit more of a resolution to it. I think that the end does end on a positive note. It's her realizing that there are people around her who love her and would miss her if anything happened to her, and that she needs to start taking better care of herself. But I just wish there was like that extra step of like, yes, I'm going to start taking better care of myself, or yes, I'm going to try to do better. It was more of just like an acknowledgement of her wanting to do better, and I just wish there was just like that little bit extra. Well, that's all I have for my reading wrap up. I will say that for the month of February, I am going to be participating in Femmeuary. It was started by Lauren and the Books. I'm going to link her down below, and what it is, it's going to be all things female in the month of February. So reading female authors and talking about women that inspire you, and books about female characters that inspire you. And I think it's a really great idea. I know February is also Black History Month, so I'm going to try to incorporate some of that as well. And that's what you can expect for next month. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below. Tell me what you're reading. What are some of your favorite female authors? Have you read any of the books that I talked about today? And that's about it.